Hello and many thanks for joining us on the program Anambra Votes. I am Imonia Marire. We sincerely apologize for bringing the program to you a few minutes behind schedule because this is as a result of some technical difficulties which we have overcome now. It's a day before the much anticipated D-Day. In fact, it's just less than 19 hours before polls open in the 5,640 polling units spread across the 21 local government areas of Anambra State. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on Thursday distributed sensitive voting materials to the various places where they will be used. The materials had been safely kept at the Central Bank vault in Awka, the state capital, from where they were moved to the 21 local government area headquarters on Thursday, under very heavy security escort. Now, you will recall also that on Thursday, the participating political parties gathered in Awka to sign a peace pact facilitated by the National Peace Committee, led by former head of state General Abdulsalam Abubakar and Bishop Hassan Kuka. However, only 8 of the 18 candidates in the election reportedly signed the pact.
Today is not a mere exercise. It is indeed a clarion call for all the candidates and the political parties and all Anambrians to commit themselves to a peaceful process.
The election on Saturday will be peaceful and the outcome will reflect the will of the Anambra voters. INEC has done everything possible to ensure credible elections in Anambra State under very challenging circumstances. I would like to appeal to all parties, candidates and other actors to play their roles in support of the peace accord.
The police force, the army, and all other security agencies posted in Anambra State will remain calm, will remain firm, and will remain professional.
I think people should not be afraid. INEC has already done what needs to be done. The security agencies, as you heard me say, is the question of them just helping to convince people about why they are here and that they are not the traditional policing system that we are used, especially when it comes to elections.
Yeah, so not to worry, the prospects of a peaceful, free, and fair polls got a major boost from a rather unexpected quarters on Thursday night, as the proscribed group, the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, called off its planned sit-at-home action, which was kicked off this Friday. The group said it cancelled the one-week sit-at-home following what it described as the genuine intervention of elders, traditional rulers, religious leaders, and due consideration of the appeals of women who earn their living based on their daily economic activities, as well as the positive impact of its engagements with various people and sectors. The group therefore urged eligible voters in Anambra to go out en masse on Saturday to exercise their franchise and to stand by to protect their votes. It, however, warned those it describes as dark forces against any attempts at disrupting the polls or perpetrating rigging. So, with IPOB out of the way, so to say, the onus now lies heavily with the politicians, their supporters, the electoral umpire, and that is INEC, security agencies, and other critical stakeholders to make a success of the electoral process in Anambra State. The police has already imposed a restriction of movement in the state, It comes into force by 12 midnight on Friday until 12 midnight on Saturday. Now the big question now is, will all of these bring out the voters in large numbers? A review of previous voting patterns indicates that in the 2010 election, just over 304,000 voters, representing 16% of the 1.8 million registered voters, came out to cast their votes. In the next election in 2013, only 465,891 out of 1,770,127 registered voters, representing 24% of eligible voters, turned out to vote. The situation was even worse in 2017, as only 448,771 votes were recorded, or 21.7% of the 2,064,134 registered voters in the state. With this legendary voter apathy in Anambra State change for the better this time around? Will INEC's introduction and deployment of the biometric voter accreditation system, otherwise known as BVAS, device in place of the smart card reader, elicit more confidence and credibility in the process? Now, according to INEC, the BVAS serves the dual capacity of fingerprint and facial recognition of voters. It abolishes the use of the incident form, which has been used as a backup to the card reader since 2015. The BVAS is also equipped with a camera that has the capacity to snap polling unit level results and of course uploads them to the INEC result view portal. Now, this means that the BVAS is replacing the Z-Pad, the Z-Pad technology that was deployed effectively in uploading results in the Edo and Ondo governorship elections in 2020. There are over 2.5 million registered voters in Anambra State. Will they be encouraged by this innovation by INEC and the fact that IPOB and other critical stakeholders have now said, look, there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing to be afraid of, come out and cast your votes for your preferred candidates. These are the issues we will be looking at on the program today, and of course we'll be joined by an INEC commissioner and a civil society and election monitoring activist. That's when we return from this break. Stay with us.
On November 6, 2021, the over 2.5 million registered voters in Anambra State will go to the polls to decide who becomes the next governor of the state. The stakes are even higher as the different political parties plot to outwit each other to clinch the big prize. AIT's special program, Anambra Votes, brings the issues, developments, and events trailing the election right to your doorstep. Join our experienced presenters and dedicated crew on ground every weekday, 1 to 2 p.m. and 3 to 4 p.m. for daily updates as the candidates unveil their agenda. Anambra Votes live studio will also be up on Saturday, November 6 by 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 1 to 4 p.m. and also on Sunday, November 7 from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Queue through election day events and result collation. AIT, deepening the roots of Nigeria's democracy.
All right, let's kick off by joining the INEC Commissioner, National Commissioner in charge of Information and voter education, Mr. Festus Okoye, who is joining us via Zoom from Oka, the Anambra State capital. Of course, we'll be joined much later on by Faith Nwadishi, who is the Executive Director, Center for Transparency and Advocacy. But for now, let's turn our attention to Mr. Festus Okoye. Thank you so much for finding time to join us, Commissioner. Mr. Commissioner, please unmute your microphone and so that we can hear you here in the studio. What is the situation in Oka today?
Well, the situation is very calm. Actually, presently, I'm in Njukoka local government area of Anambra State. I've come to see the state of preparations and the state of preparedness of the commission ad hoc staff in relation to the elections. I've just finished addressing the supervisory presiding officers and the registration area assistants. So we are good to go. We have deployed all the non-sensitive materials to the various local governments, and presently those sensitive materials are being distributed together with the bimodal voter accreditation system that will be used for both fingerprint and facial authentication during the election tomorrow. So in relation to preparations, everything has shifted to the various local governments. And then later today, the supervisory presiding officers and the RS supervisors and the and all the ad hoc staff that have been harvested, we move to their super racks and their racks, preparatory to being deployed at the first light tomorrow morning. So we are doing very well, and the security agencies are all over the place trying to make sure that our materials are safe and making sure that our personnel are safe. So the activities have moved to the various local government areas, and we have scaled down the activities at the state headquarters.
Well, it's good to know that you are able to move from one place to the other, because by yesterday, you were in the state capital, supervising the distribution of these sensitive materials from the premises of the central bank. And today you are in another part of the state, in Jikoka local government area. Now, this is contrary to the impression that has been created that the insecurity in that state was such that could not facilitate ease of movement around Anambra State.
Well, it is true that for quite a while, an atmosphere of fear and anxiety pervaded the state. But our supervisory presiding officers, our ad hoc staff, all of them were determined that in the interest of democracy, in the interest of the electoral process, and also in the interest of the Anambra people, that we need to deliver this particular election. So the core members that we harvested, who are going to serve as presiding officers, never even waver for one moment. The assistant presiding officers who are going to be in charge, who are also going to be at the polling units, and we have vested from federal tertiary institutions, never wavered in relation to this election. Now, we had a slight shortfall in terms of our ad hoc staff. So what we have done is to mobilize the shortfall from young men and women doing their national youth service from Delta State and also from Enugu State. So they have already arrived and they have been deployed to the various local governments where they are going to serve. So presently, what we are doing is that the electoral officers and the assistant electoral officers are distributing the materials in accordance with the registration areas. So the supervisory presiding officers will take charge of the materials for the registration area they control, and then they will leave and head to the registration area center or the super rack, where the materials will be further devolved to each of the polling units for tomorrow's election. And then later today, the ad hoc staff will sign their contract of engagement that will now make them ad hoc staff. And pledge to abide by all the rules and regulations set up by the Independent National Electoral Commission. And their entitlements have also been set out in that particular contract. So in terms of our preparations, we are good to go. We had a slight challenge with the issue of some of the transport owners who we are not too sure about movement for tomorrow. But some other ones have also offered their services. So as at now, we are good to go with the issue of transportation. And we are confident that despite all the challenges, of course, there will be challenges here and there will be hiccups here and there will be problems here and there, but we are determined to pull through with this election, and we have the capacity to deal with some of these challenges because some of them we are envisaged. So we have plan A, plan B, and plan C on how to deal with situations when they arise.
So in all, Commissioner, how many of your permanent staff and ad hoc staff are being deployed for this election? I mean, in previous elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission was very conveniently telling us how many staff were being deployed, how many ad hoc staff were being deployed for each of these elections. But not so far with Anambra. How many are being deployed?
Well, you know, we have been very, very open, we've been very, very transparent, and we have been very, very upfront with information relating to this particular election. We told the Nigerian people that we are going to deploy at least 25,009 ad hoc staff for this election. And this excludes our permanent staff who are going to serve in various capacities. So when you add the permanent staff that we are going to deploy, it comes to almost 26,000 staff. We've been very, very upfront with providing data and information and figures relating to the number of our staff we are deploying.
So you are confident that the 26,000 or so permanent and ad hoc staff will cover all the 21 local governments, the 5,640 polling stations or polling units across the state?
Now we have, we created a total of 1,112 additional polling units in Anambra State, added to the existing polling units. So totally in Anambra State as of today, we have a total of 5,720 polling units. But the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission did inform the nation that we are going to deploy in all the polling units, with the exception of 86 polling units that have zero registered voters. So we are going to deploy, but we are not going to deploy to the 86 polling units. So that is where we are as of today. The core members are going to serve as presiding officers in all the polling units, while the students from federal tertiary institutions are going to serve as assistant presiding officers 1, 2, and 3. Now, our collation officers are also going to be deployed tomorrow morning to collect the results at the registration area level, to collect the results at the local government level, and also to collect the results at the state level. We have been informed that the collation officers will arrive either today or tomorrow. I don't know where they are coming from. Only the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission knows where the collation officers are coming from. So later this night, there's a possibility that he will inform us where he's going to put the collation officers from. But no national commissioner knows where the collation officers are coming from.
All right. Mr. Okoye, if you look at the history of elections in Anambra State, particularly governorship elections from 2010 until 2017, the last governorship election, you will see that voter turnout has not been very impressive. In fact, in most cases, it's been less than a quarter of the number of registered and eligible voters. And some of the blame has been put at the doorsteps of the electoral umpire, INEC, for not carrying out enough education, enough voter education. And of course, the political parties have also had their own share of the blame. Do you think that it will be different this time around?
But I didn't hear the last. I didn't hear the last part of your question.
Well, but my question is that between 2010 and 2017, all the governorship elections that have taken place here, you notice that there has been a low level of voter participation. If you look at the figures, you discover that in most cases, it's less than a quarter of the number of registered voters that eventually cast their votes and participate in the elections. And some of the blame has been put at the doorstep of the Electoral Commission, because the argument is that the Electoral Commission has not been doing enough voter education. The political parties themselves have also been accused of not doing enough to mobilize voters. The 2021 election, do you think it will be a bit different from all the other four previous ones in terms of voter turnout?
Now let me put it this way. This particular commission is the first commission in the last 25 years that created additional polling units in Nigeria. We have created a total of 1,112 polling units in Anambra State, and we have moved these polling units away from congested polling units, away from very far polling units, and we have taken these polling units closer to the people, closer to persons with disability, closer to lactating mothers, and also closer to the elderly, so that they don't have to walk long distances in order to come and exercise their democratic franchise. And we hope and we believe that by doing so, we are going to get more people involved, more people engaged in the electoral process. We have also introduced the bimodal voter accreditation system that will make it possible for us to capture the fingerprint of registrants. And if we are unable to capture their fingerprints, we capture their facials. And if we are unable to capture their facials, we use the QR code at the back of the permanent voters card in order to authenticate the voters. And we believe that this will also increase the voter confidence in the electoral process. Prior to this particular period, in Isoko South 1 constituency, for instance, during the 2019 election, we used the smart card reader for purposes of authentication, and it recorded 32% authentication. During this last election we had, during the by-election we had, we used the BVAS, and it recorded 97% accreditation. So we believe that some of the technological innovations and solutions we have introduced will go a long way in increasing the confidence of our people in the electoral process. But one thing you must realize is that this particular election is an election that is conducted under very, very difficult circumstances and under a very, very challenging environment, pervaded by fear, pervaded by anxiety, and also accentuated by violence. But we believe that the people of Anambra State understand the challenges we have. They also understand that this election is about the future of the people of Anambra State. It's about the future of their children, and also it's about the survival of electoral democracy in Nigeria. And we are hopeful that they will troop out in mass to go and exercise their democratic franchise.
So how many election monitoring groups did the Electoral Commission certify this time around for the Anambra governorship election?
Whether we are what?
The number of election monitoring groups that have been approved by the Electoral Commission to monitor the exercise tomorrow.
Yes, we have all the civil society groups and organizations that apply for accreditation to monitor this particular election. And we certify that they are credible organizations. We gave them approval to monitor this election. But in giving the approval, we have also made it very clear to them that any organization that attempts to devolve the approval to any political party agent, that we are going to withdraw that approval and that we are going to prosecute the individuals and also blacklist the organization. The media, we also have the media organizations that we have given accreditation. As at the last count, over 500 media organizations, almost around 440 media organizations have been accredited, and we have over 30 foreign media groups that are in Anambra State. So there's huge attention in relation to what is going on here, and we are confident that with the type of processes and procedures we have in place, that all will go well. We have also done very creative and innovative voter education for the people of Anambra State. And you will agree with me that since this election is a very unusual election and is being conducted under unusual circumstances, the commission had to be creative, we had to be innovative in terms of the type of voter education initiatives we deployed. And we are satisfied with what we have done. The rest is left in the court of the people of Anambra State to take the future in their hands and also make sure that they exercise their democratic franchise. And we assure them that their votes will be the only source of truth, will be the only means of making a determination on who governs the people of Anambra State.
Thank you very much, Mr. Festus Okoye, National Commissioner in charge of Information and Voter Education right here in Anambra State. We want to thank you for finding time out of your tight schedule to speak with us. We know you have to run now for some other duties, and we look forward to speaking with you again, possibly tomorrow in the course of the election, in the course of the polling exercise itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll go on a short break, and when we return, we will be returning to Anambra, where we should be talking to one of the civil society organizations that is accredited to monitor the Anambra governorship polls. All right, thank you so much for staying with us. That was Festus Okoye, who is the National Commissioner in charge of Information and Voter Education, telling us about the state of preparedness by the electoral umpire for the Anambra governorship election, which of course kicks off at 8 a.m. on Saturday, November 6th. But now let's talk to a civil society organization, which is one of the many that have been accredited, according to INEC, to monitor and observe the elections in Anambra State. And Faith Nwadishi is joining us via Zoom from Anambra State. I believe she's in Oka at this point in time. Faith is the Executive Director, Center for Transparency and Advocacy, and has been in Oka for quite a number of days now, preparing for this election. A very warm afternoon to you, Faith.
Good afternoon, Matt. Good afternoon, Nigerians.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Great. How is you are in Oka? How is Oka today?
Oka is very calm. Oka and its surroundings are very calm. Though initially this morning people were skeptical. People were just trickling out. Yesterday we had the press statement from IPOB and the Southeastern governors. So people were not sure if it was for real. But right now, as I speak to you, we have more people on the streets. We even have some of our observers who came in today. They drove all the way from the Asaba airport to Oka, and they didn't have any issues. So Oka and the environs is very calm today.
So we are saying now that the IPOB statement and the statement from the Southeastern governors seem to have had a very positive impact already on ground in Anambra State.
Indeed. In fact, when the statement came out yesterday and people started sharing it, people were skeptical, even though the DIG police, because we had a briefing with them yesterday, they had assured that they were already in conversation with some of the groups, and we should expect such a statement. So when that statement came out, we started going out again to talk to people to say this can happen. This is a good development, and I'm happy to say that citizens are now looking at. Because they said in the past they have had such statements and nothing happened, so they were afraid to come out. But shops are opening. People are coming out, people are just moving around, but not in the same manner that would have expected them on a good day. The state government declared a work-free day for yesterday and today, so that people can go and collect their PVC. So there has been more like a public holiday in Anambra State since yesterday. But people are beginning to come out this afternoon, considering that they sit at home. It was supposed to have started today, but called off yesterday. It's a welcome development.
As an election monitoring group, how would you assess the preparation of INEC for tomorrow's exercise? Everything taken together.
Generally, I think INEC has done well and has improved a lot, especially with the introduction of the new technology that we see with the elections. 2 days ago, we are at the Dorakunili Women Development Center, where they had the stakeholders meeting. Interestingly, again, we're also seeing more cooperation from the security agents. 4 years ago, we were here in Oka for the same stakeholders meeting, and the Inspector General of Police held the meeting to ransom us for 2 hours. we were waiting for him to attend that meeting. But at this meeting 2 days ago, we saw the Inspector General of Police sitting down with the INEC chairman, and then we were waiting for the politicians to come. The politicians held up that meeting for almost 2 hours before they came, and the meeting started. So I see there's that synergy between the security agents and INEC, which is a good development. And then INEC's introduction of the different ICT innovations. Yesterday, we were at the central bank to also observe the distribution of materials. The beautiful thing is that INEC has gone a step further. INEC has gone, I'm going to show us this color-coded paper that INEC has brought out. It means that for the 21 local government areas that you have in Anambra State, the ballot papers will be colored according to this code, such that you will now also stop ambitious politicians who want to subvert the process. So you have different colors of the ballot paper for every local government area, and the color code has been given. That's very a good innovation for me for INEC. The deployment of the ad hoc staff is happening. Yesterday, they have deployed to all the local government areas, super racks. So by today, they'll be deploying to racks, and hopefully tomorrow morning, they will now send to polling units. And we are following up all of these processes. We have about 64 observers across the state, and they're giving us good feedback. In fact, one of the feedback we had this morning was that one of our observers, because of the lockdown threat, had to go out yesterday to just test the pulse of people. Yesterday, as at yesterday night, people were afraid, but this morning, people are already coming out. So I must give kudos to INEC and the security agencies, but there's still that little concern about the synergy between the security agents. You go to certain places and you see the altercation between the security agents, who is in charge, who should give order, and who should not give order. That little aspect of it should be clearly outlined so that we have a seamless duty on this election.
We'll come back to the color codes, the INEC color code, very shortly. But for now, let me ask what your impression of the politicians themselves are. The politicians, their political parties, how are they conducting themselves in this very unusual circumstance?
There has been some kind of respect for each other, apart from the fact that when we went to the stakeholders meeting, they came late to the stakeholders meeting. Yesterday also at the central bank for the distribution of sensitive materials, they came there late too, because they didn't start the distribution of those materials until the political class or the political parties arrived at that meeting. Apart from the initial tension that we had for campaign, the strong language they were using against each other, we have not seen. I have been here now for some time, for some days. I was here 2 weeks ago. We have not seen that, that kind of altercation you have between political parties, their candidates, fighting each other. There's something I need to say, why I say we should commend INEC. Now, over the years, we have always recommended to INEC that accreditation of party agents should be done the same way they do for observers. Like you see this tag I have, it has my name, my picture, everything on it. But party agents in the past didn't have this. Now, we're hearing that for this particular election, party agents will be accredited with their names and their pictures on it, which is also a good one for us, so that at least when you get to the polling units, you know which party is on ground, and I'm sure that is also helping the political parties to respect each other. Even though there were threats that we had, unconfirmed threats, that they were going to arrest some chieftains of certain political parties, we have not had the actual arrest of those chieftains. But I think, again, it's the gimmicks of the political class to continuously cast the fear in the minds of people, to talk about people being given some favoritism over the others. But so far, so good. I think they are behaving very well. And if this continues, we're going to have a seamless election come tomorrow.
That's very good to know. And still talking about the politicians and the political parties, given the peculiar security situation that had been on ground in Anambra State, at least up until yesterday night, what did you observe whether or not it was possible for the political parties, all the 18 political parties, to mount the usual campaigns, open air campaigns, rallies, and all of that usually done by political parties before elections?
On Tuesday, the PDP had an open air campaign here. I took a trip to Onitsha as part of our monitoring the environment, and we saw a lot of the governors coming in from neighboring states to be part of that. So there was that campaign that was done. Some of them also have, but mostly, if you look at the percentage of face-to-face or on-ground campaign that they did compared to online campaigns, I think they utilized more of the online this time around because of security issues compared to what the online on-ground campaign that they use, and that's because of the security situation that was on ground. And most of this security situation that were on ground, we saw mostly around the Anambra South area. That's where the tensions were, and of course the tensions were there because the rotational governorship thing has gone to Anambra South, and most of the candidates are from there. The other area where you have some of those skirmishes and problems was also around Anambra North. Majority of the deputy governors are from Anambra North, so you have that power play being put out there. But when it comes to issues around campaign, they didn't really have the kind of elaborate campaign you would have expected because of the security issues. But coming to yesterday, when they ended their campaigns, some of the political parties had mega rallies and campaigns. At least I saw that of the PDP and the solidarity from the neighboring governors who came in while I was on my way to Onitsha that day.
How do you think that this is likely to impact the voter turnout on Saturday? How effective do you think that online campaigns have been, especially in communities, in rural communities, where they are not too familiar with online campaign processes?
Even though some of these candidates went online, they were also, I would say, innovative in a way, but negative innovation in a way, because they were using some of their gatherings to induce people. They were giving, and some they called it COVID palliative. They were saying they were sharing palliative, but we knew they were giving things for people to vote. There was a video that went viral yesterday where a particular political party was sharing money and giving a can of malt to people and asking for their voters card, just to make sure that those people had their voters card. So they came around it in another way without really having big campaigns. They went to small communities, had those kind of town hall meetings, inducing voters, giving them money and saying they were doing some kind of sensitization and giving people COVID palliative. But some of those COVID palliative were really towards getting them to come out to vote. So even though they didn't have those fiscal meetings, they went around it in that innovative way. But I still tell you, it will still have a negative impact on the turnout of voters, because already the sit-at-home order that came and now suddenly is called off. People are afraid. The security agents have assured and reassured people that people's lives and properties will be protected. INEC has assured and reassured people that people's lives and properties will be protected. But we are talking to people on ground here, and they're still saying, we don't know, we don't really know. We're saying, if the thing is, if the truth that IPOB has called us sit at home and people come out today and nothing happens today, people will turn out tomorrow for the election. People will turn out tomorrow for the election, because if today works and there are no issues and people are free to move around, it was good that IPOB called off the sit-at-home, but it came late, but not too late, so people are still capitalizing on that. Definitely people will come. We have some observers who were even supposed to be here. Family members called them not to come. The tension that you have outside Anambra, you don't feel it when you are here. The news that is out there is not the same thing as it is here. I have been here. I have a lot of my family and friends, even before I came in, they send me text messages. Some call me like every 2 hours to say what is happening on ground. And that's why it's important that this medium we have now is able to really tell people that it is not what people are feeling. People outside Anambra are feeling more tensed than those of us that are here. And it's not really helping. Those people who don't have access to social media, to this kind of medium we are using right now, will hear those stories and think that it is actually like that. There's no tension here. Everybody is happy. Well, I wouldn't say everybody is happy. That's too general a statement to make. But there's calmness. There's calmness everywhere. People are respecting themselves. So far, we have not had any reports about indiscriminate treatment by the security agents. We're in touch with all of the security agents, and things are just moving the way it should actually move in a normal election. There's no need for us to cause all of this tension and get people to be afraid to come out to exercise their fundamental rights.
In the statement that was released by IPOB yesterday and the one also released by the Southeastern governors, they made allusion to the fact that there may be other groups, cult groups and other criminal groups that may be taking advantage of the IPOB sit-at-home directive, which has now been called off, to cause unnecessary tension and possibly to disrupt the elections. Do you have such a feeling there in Anambra that there are other groups that may actually be operating?
So I didn't hear that very clearly. Please, can you?
I said the statement that was released by the Southeastern governors yesterday, and in the one that was also released by IPOB, they made allusions to the fact that there may be some other dark forces, some other groups. In fact, the Southeastern governors called them cultist groups and criminal gangs that may actually have been thinking of taking advantage of the IPOB sit-at-home to cause disruption of this election and carry out all manner of mayhem. Do you have a feeling of such groups in Anambra?
I think it happens everywhere. It's not just because it is Anambra, where you have a known face saying this is what should happen and it has been successful. You will have criminal gangs who will capitalize on that loophole or that gap that you have there to cause mayhem and begin to derail even whatever processes you have put in place. It has always happened. We have seen even when you have people who have grudges and they come out to protest, they're protesting peacefully, and you see hoodlums who will come to hijack that process. So within Anambra, if you have such, you cannot rule them out. You already have kidnappers, armed robbers, people who will disguise that in the name of IPOB and say this is what we are. This is so that when something happens, you put it on the particular group and say because this group has come out to say we are the ones who has given this order, and that is what is really happening. So I'm also happy that even IPOB in his statement said they are put in place to checkmate any other group that may come to use this platform to cause mayhem and then put it on their head that they're the ones that are doing that. You cannot rule out. You really cannot rule out the presence of those, even the political class. The political class is able to do that, and so just to cause mayhem and cause disarray in the entire process. So we cannot even rule out those groups, ordinarily those criminal gangs. We cannot also rule out the political class. We see when elections are going on, people are armed to come to snatch ballot boxes. Who are those who pay people to come to snatch ballot? It's not the ordinary criminal on the road who doesn't have anything to benefit that will come to a polling polling unit to say, I've come to disrupt elections in this place. People pay them, people commission them to do that. So we should also look out for such groups that have been commissioned by the political class to cause such mayhem.
Okay, very quickly as we round off our discussion now, what do you think will be the purpose and the effectiveness of the color code that INEC has introduced for each of the 21 local governments?
So I think it's very good. You know, in the last 2019 election, we had issues in one of the, I think that was particularly in Imo State, where one of the candidates declared himself on a result sheet from 2015 for a 2019 election. And the courts went ahead to uphold that declaration. Now, INEC has come up with color code. So if you are contesting any election result within any local government area, and your result or your ballot is not cast on that particular color, it means that you have gone somewhere to manufacture your own. It means that you have gone somewhere. There are two things that INEC has done for this election that people, Nigerians, especially observers, should look out for. This is the first one, the color code for the ballot paper, and the fact that 86 polling units where there are no registered voters, INEC has said they were not going to deploy material to those 86 polling units. So, peradventure, at the end of this election, somebody comes to say, votes were cast for me in any of those 86 polling units. You begin to ask questions. They have also gone to bring out about 800 and something polling units where you have between 1 to 49 voters. And then, like I said, they will go ahead and deploy materials to those polling units because they don't want to disenfranchise anybody. So if you are a registered voter, you are part of the 2.something million people who registered in Anambra, and you are, if it's just one person in a particular polling unit, INEC is going to deploy material to that place. But where they don't have voters, they will not deploy material there. So if a politician decides to say, okay, because you don't have voters in a particular place, you go and manufacture a result to bring out there, INEC has said ahead of time that materials and both human and other material resources will not be deployed to that place. So how did you manufacture your own result? And if peradventure you come out to say votes were cast for you in a particular local government with a color code of green, and you bring a brown color coded paper and say it was used for that paper, then these are some of the security checks I think we should commend INEC for putting in place, and which will make the Anambra election something different from all of the elections we are seeing. And this is in preparation towards the 2023 election.
Thank you so much, Faith. Faith Nwadishi is the Executive Director, Center for Transparency and Advocacy, one of the election monitoring and observer groups accredited by INEC for the Anambra State governorship election. Thank you, and we wish you a very good time there. Please stay safe. And we hopefully look forward to speaking with you again tomorrow in the course of the election.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. All right, that's our program for today. Thank you so much for investing your time with us. Anambra elections, Anambra votes 2021 will come your way again later in the afternoon. That's between 3 and 4 p.m. when we'll have the last edition of the program before the election proper on Saturday. My name is Imonia Marere. Bye for now.